This week on The Digital Coffee, Facebook reveals more secrets of its algorithm. WhatsApp makes it easier for you to discover local businesses. And fleets in tweets. Find out more about that and all the other news you need to know after this. Good morning, and welcome to The Digital Coffee. This is your weekly dose of digital marketing and social media news for small business. My name is Amanda Webb, and I am grasping my cup. As you know, if you watch regularly, this cup has nothing in it. A little bit of dust just fell out. I would love to know what it is that you've got in your cup. Is it full? Are you enjoying a nice cup of coffee? Is it a cup of tea? Do leave me a comment. Of course, if you're on Facebook and you leave me a comment, I will send you by messenger a copy of this week's Digital Coffee newspaper, which has all the stories I'm talking about and links so you can read more. Or, you know what I would love? I would love to know your answer to my question of the week, which is, if you're on Twitter, are you missing stories? Is that something you miss, or have you not even noticed that it's disappeared? Of course, there is a reason I'm asking you that. It relates to a story that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. Good morning to Katie. I've been really excited about seeing awards in groups and Facebook yesterday. You see, now I'm feeling bad because I went, does anyone want to know about that? And I bumped it. There was a lot of news this week. Let's just put it that way. But I suppose I should mention that, yes, there is a new badge in Facebook groups called awards. I know Katie has some very active Facebook groups, so this could be a really good way to encourage more people to engage with your group. I can see we've got May King here, who was it's not making. It looks like it's post marketer. You've tried stories. Have you missed them? Have you noticed that they've gone? Oh, you've never tried stories. Okay, that's good. So you probably haven't even noticed that they're gone. That's good to know. Some other things. At 10:30, if you want to chat about these stories more, I co-host a space with May King Sang, the amazing FOMO creator, and we discuss these stories in more detail. She puts in her ideas about it, which sometimes aren't the things that I think are good or bad about it. And you're most welcome to come and join in that conversation too. So that's at 10:30. But I suppose we should probably get on with the news. Let me grab my iPad.
Hi, I'm Charlie Lawrence and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Let me ask you something. Are you frustrated by your reach on Facebook? Do you ever worry that maybe you're doing something that means that Facebook is pulling back your reach? It's demoting your posts in the feed, which means that they will just show them last. They're not getting rid of them, but they're showing every post that they like better first. Do you ever worry that there's something you're doing that could trigger that? Well, this week, Facebook have released an updated list of the factors that could cause your posts to get demoted in the Facebook feed. And there's 28 different factors. And for each of those factors, there's a little click through so you can read more. So I'm not going to talk through all 28 today. There are 5 that relate to your website. And one of these was brand new to me. They're calling it click gap. And click gap means that you're getting a disproportionate amount of the traffic to your website via Facebook compared to other sites, which I guess means Google and also means other social networks. So when they say disproportionate, it's like most of your traffic is coming from Facebook and not other places. How do they know this? I don't know how they know this, but it is a signal to them that maybe your site isn't good quality. Maybe you haven't worked to get good domain authority on your website. So Why that would matter them, I don't know. There must be a reason behind it. It's definitely worth looking through the list of 28. I will post a link below as soon as we finish the show. And of course, it is in the Digital Coffee newspaper. If you're on YouTube and you want that newspaper, there is a little sign up. I pinned it to the top of the chat. Now, this is Making. I thought you were here earlier, but it was somebody with the same colour scheme. And Making has been working really hard over the last few days. I saw that we were both speaking at Joanne Sweeney's Public Sector Marketing Pros conference yesterday, and then somehow she had the energy to go and do a Twitter space for Agora Pulse last night. So welcome to the show. Don't forget, you get to chat with Making in person if you join us on Twitter spaces at 10:30. That is my pinned tweet at Spiderworking if you want to join in. Oh, I never said what she said. Morning, having a cup of hot water. Hot water? Making tea is not drinking tea. What is going on? And good morning to Kate as well. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, what's next in the news? Let's find out.
Hello, this is Rob Charles, the voice of Mike on Forever FM on Peter Kay's Car Share. BAFTA award-winning, I've got to say, but I've not seen the BAFTA yet. Anyway, you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb. Enjoy. I'm on tea. Shh.
Now, as you already know, Facebook ads took a massive hit this year when Apple introduced its new iOS 14 privacy updates. This meant that so many people, almost everyone who got the notification said, no, thank you. I do not want Facebook to track me anywhere that I go on the internet. And this was the basis of how Facebook ads were so amazing, was tracking people's behavior on the internet, seeing the sites that they were going to, whether they were buying from them or not. It was a way that they understood their interests, not just whether they were visiting your site. So of course it took a hit. And Facebook this week released an article telling us how this has affected ads and also sharing some tips on what we could do. Now, these aren't tips about setting up your ads. There's plenty of tips we could share there. These are all kind of behind the scenes things that you can do. And the first one is to take your time to measure. Like in the past, you'd launch an ad and you'd almost be refreshing to see had it worked yet. And that's not going to work anymore. And the reason for that is the way that Facebook is measuring now is for people that aren't accessing for iOS devices, the reporting should still be spot on, but they're using machine learning and modeling. That's another word for guessing, educated guessing for the other conversions that are happening. And it takes time for that to happen, up to 72 hours. Now, at the moment, that modeling is probably not going to be 100% accurate, but it will take time for the machine to learn. You know, it's like it's in kindergarten now. It's just learning. Soon it's going to be able to do that better. So the first tip was to wait 72 hours before you decide whether the campaign's working or not. The second thing to look at is when you are doing your measuring, look at it at campaign level, not at creative level. And this is something us Facebook advertisers would do. We'd have 3 or 4 different versions of our ads and we'd immediately want to know which one was doing best. But they say, no, don't look at that. Don't look at that because we can measure the campaign quicker. So they're saying, look at the campaign, think about the creatives next. They're saying set up. If you haven't done this already, really do this. Set up the conversions API. When you go into Ads Manager, it's all over it telling you to do this. And if you don't have a website builder, so if you're not using the likes of WordPress or Shopify or Wix or any of those, it is kind of complicated to integrate. It all has to be done at server level and it's hard work. There are great integrations though. I have mine set up on WordPress since it came out. So it is quite straightforward to do. And this is almost like your Pixel, except it's deeper in the code of your website or something. To be honest, what it does is way above my head, but just do it because it's going to help the measurability of your Facebook ads. The fourth one, and I'm sure you've done this if you are running ad campaigns, is to use the aggregated events. Whoa, aggregated events, that sounds really technical. What's that? Well, basically, Facebook will measure when somebody takes an action on your site. So that can be they've added something to the cart, they've added their payment info, they have purchased from you, or maybe if you're a service-based business, they filled in a form on your website, they become a lead. And before, you would just set these up. Very often, again, it would be integrated into your actual website. It would connect with Facebook and tell it. But now you have to prioritize these in aggregated events management. Again, if you haven't done this, it's going to red flag it to you when you log into your Facebook Ads Manager. You need to tell them that a purchase is more important than an add to cart. And that is part of the process. And the final thing is something that I think all smart advertisers have been doing already, which is look outside of Facebook for the results. So yes, Facebook is going to give you some measurement tools, but look at using, and again, sorry for the complex terms, UTM tracking, look it up. Start using that and start using your Google Analytics. And that can tell you a lot, because that will tell you last click. It will give you a last click attribution when somebody has come from Facebook, they've clicked through and they've done the thing you want them to. It's not as good as it's measured differently. I wouldn't say it's not as good as the Facebook ads. And also then, what's your end goal? Are people buying? Have the number of purchases you've got gone up? Are people signing up to your email list? How many people are signing up to your email list? Has that gone up as a result of you running ads? So it's more complicated. Definitely more complicated, but it's definitely worth thinking about. Let's have a look. Kate is saying, I'm drinking tea and happy with my Facebook reach, although interested to read the article. It is a bit of a read. It is 28 little pages. They are very short pages when you go through, and they have little graphs and things on, which are really handy. Thank you, Katie. I am the Facebook ads queen. I'm sure there are bigger queens than me. I'm not sure if that... As soon as I said that, I thought that was the wrong way to describe it. But never mind. Let's find out what's next.
Hi, I'm Catherine Mason and you're watching Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
WhatsApp has been working hard behind the scenes to improve its business offering. And during lockdown, a lot of that has been about e-commerce. A lot of that has been about being able to share your product catalogs. There's a lot of things that you can do now on WhatsApp through a business account that you weren't able to previously. But the world is opening up again, so it is becoming important for local businesses too. And until now, discoverability has been an issue. If you want somebody to connect with you on WhatsApp, they either need to know your phone number, maybe they could scan a QR code that you've got in your window or on your point of sale. Maybe you have to run a Facebook ad. Facebook ads you can run so that you go to WhatsApp and people can connect with you there. But now there's going to be a new way to get discovered on WhatsApp. Sorry, just had to go and find this, which is the magic graphic. In the contacts tab on WhatsApp, you're going to be able to see a little local businesses tab. And when you click into that, you will be able to see categories for the local business that you want to search for. And when you search for one and find one, you will be able to contact them through WhatsApp directly. So if you're not already using WhatsApp for your local business, or if you have clients that aren't already using WhatsApp for your local business, this would be a strong reason to get on board. And that's clearly why they're doing it. I do like this because I think so many people use WhatsApp, and it's so straightforward to use. Older people use WhatsApp. I've seen them using Facebook. It's still a struggle for them, but you can have a 90-year-old that uses WhatsApp. And also there's a whole lot of people that don't want to use Facebook and don't use Facebook. They might have an account that they log into a couple of times a month, but WhatsApp is something they use all the time. So for local businesses, I can see this is going to be huge. And let's look at it, right? Last week, we talked about Instagram doing something similar to this, which I thought was genius, particularly for traveling. A few weeks ago, again, we talked about Snapchat starting to to link to local businesses. And I think partly because the world is opening up again and being able to get local businesses to support their platforms is going to be good, but it's also going to be really good for local businesses that they can be discovered in all these different ways. If you are a local business, it's not for me because I don't want people coming knocking on my door, I work from home, but I do think if you are a local business, it is definitely worth looking at WhatsApp. I do think this is going to be a great way to communicate with people in the future. In fact, I just bought my recent coffee order via WhatsApp and I'm never going to go to their website again because it was so easy. What's that? Never go to their website, Amanda? Are you crazy?
Hi, I'm Lee from Wellshot and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb. Cheers.
I've said it before, but if you want customers to do something, make it really easy for customers to do something. If you want more videos on your platform, make it easy for people to create videos. And that's exactly what Facebook have done this week. They've announced a partnership with Vimeo Create. If that sounds familiar, we'll talk about that in a second. Vimeo Create is basically a bit like Canva for video. You can go in, there's templates set up. You can quickly create a video without having to put your blood, sweat and tears into it. You can resize that video, whether it's for stories or for whatever placement, wherever you're going to put it. And you can do all this now from within Facebook Business Suite. And if you're not familiar with Business Suite, this is probably the best way for you to manage your Facebook and Instagram accounts in one place. So it's really handy. Now, the article I read had a link to the desktop version of Business Suite and where I should be able to find this. But I don't have Business Suite for desktop. I have Business Manager, which is because I'm considered an agency, I'm guessing. So I don't have access to this now. But I do see this being a really easy way for businesses to get on board with creating video, particularly in a time where we know Reels are getting so much attention and they are launching Reels on Facebook too. So do have a look at Business Suite. I don't think it's available on mobile, but it's definitely worth looking at. And if Vimeo Create rang a bell in your head, that's because this isn't their first social media integration. We heard a few weeks ago, and I probably even started the segment saying the same thing, that if you want your customers to do something, make it easy. They integrated with TikTok along with Canva. So, I think it might be worth taking a look at Vimeo and how they're progressing into the future, because they're definitely thinking, I hate this term, but I'm going to say it anyway, outside the box. What's next? Here's Making, and don't forget, you get to see and chat to Making at 10:30 on our Twitter Space.
This is Making from the FOMO Creator, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Clubhouse has a problem, and that problem is, well, I haven't been there for ages. That's one of their problems. People don't go there anymore. But people are saying, I see people talking about Clubhouse and saying, there's so many spammy rooms or bad rooms. I just don't know where to go when I get there. I don't know if the room's going to be any good. I don't know if it's going to be click worthy. So Clubhouse are testing or about to start testing a new tool which will allow you to clip the last 30 seconds that you've listened to, I believe you've listened to in a room. So if you're in a room, it will clip the 30 seconds previous to that and share it. And it will also put that clip up there so that anyone else in the room will be able to share it as well. I think this would work also really well on Twitter Spaces. How do you know if you want to join a Twitter Space? So now people will be able to listen. It's almost like a trailer. They'll be able to listen to that 30 seconds and decide, is this a room that I want to attend? It takes the danger out of ending up in a spammy room. This is going to be great for hosts because they'll be able to share it. I think if you were really smart, you would record, or you would think about the first 30 seconds of your room and describing what the room is going to be about and then clip it, because that's going to be the best ever trailer for your room, isn't it? I think this is very smart from Clubhouse. I think, I I don't know where Clubhouse is going. I have to be honest, I never really got excited about it, whereas I do love Twitter Spaces. If it's going to survive, it does need to keep addressing the objections people have of using the channel. And I think that's a lesson for all of us as businesses. When you see an objection, look at how you can tackle it. And I think that is really smart from Clubhouse. Will it sustain? Will it last after 2022? I just don't know. Katie says, that's very cool, RE Vimeo Create in Business Suite. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing better quality videos. I would say if you are using a template, stick to the template. I think when you try and go outside that template or do something it doesn't tell you, it will always end up not being the quality product that you want it to be. I also think this is going to be a saving. I know there's lots of tools out there that have templates that you can use, but you'd have to subscribe to them. Whereas when you can do it directly within Facebook, of course, you're not going to have to pay for that software, which is good news.
I'm Ian Anderson-Gray and you're watching Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
LinkedIn has this thing called lead forms. If you're a Facebook advertiser, you know all about this. In fact, using lead forms in your Facebook ads is a really good way to get around some of the iOS 14 updates. But LinkedIn has these lead forms, and what it is you can click on it, you can fill in a form, maybe your name and your email address, all within LinkedIn without having to go to a third-party website. But until now, you had to just like the person who set up the form would have to deal with the data. They'd have to just copy and paste it or move it somewhere themselves. There was no automation included. And the same goes for LinkedIn events. LinkedIn events are great. They're a really good way to create a bit of buzz around a corporate event that you're having. But if somebody registered for that event, again, you'd have to take that data and go and manually register them somewhere else or send them an email to get them to manually register somewhere else. And that surprises me, honestly. I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I saw that this week they have integrated with Zapier or Zapier. I think Zapier is a nicer term, but I do believe it said Zapier. And what Zapier does is it will connect your LinkedIn form or your LinkedIn event with other softwares and set up an automation for you. So for example, if you are setting up an event and people register for the event and it's a webinar, you will be able to create a zap that zaps their information into Zoom and creates them a registration for that webinar. If you are using your lead forms, maybe you want to use it to promote a lead magnet, you can be able to zap that information from the lead form over to your email marketing platform. And it has all the major email marketing platforms there that you can integrate with. And that means you'll be able to send them their lead magnet immediately and send them a welcome sequence. And if they requested it, you'll be able to add them to your email list as well. This is going to be such a time saver, and it could actually make lead forms and events more enticing for businesses to use. I'm just so surprised that wasn't there before. Create a zap that zaps into Zoom. Yes, zap Zoom, zappy Zoom, zappy Zooms.
You're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Twitter fleets are gone. And to be honest, I barely noticed because I rarely looked at them. And when I did look at them, I just had a guilt that I probably hadn't updated my fleets in a while, and I probably should. So they're gone. When they went, they did say, well, we're going to keep all these creative tools and we're going to integrate them into regular posts on Twitter. And it looks like that is beginning to happen. It looks like this is now found on the back end. So it isn't there yet. It's just in the planning stages. But you will soon be able to add stickers, and you'll be able to add text, and you'll be able to crop photos and videos when you add them to tweets. And I think adding annotations like this can make your images more visually pleasing. It can help people understand the meaning of why you're posting it. And it's also a social media style, isn't it? I mean, we see that from Instagram stories. This is a language that we understand through social media. But what puzzles me is before fleets, you used to be able to do this. But I'm not sure, I can't remember about the text on image, but I definitely added stickers, not great stickers, but stickers to my images on Twitter before fleets was a thing. So although they're calling this an update, and I see this happening with Twitter so much, this is something we used to have. So it's kind of weird to get it back again. Will it be successful? I like the idea that I'll be able to edit images before I put them up. But will I remember? Will I still end up just creating them somewhere else first? I don't know. I'd love to know what you think. And that's it for the Digital Coffee this week. Thank you so much for joining. I will be back. Same bat time, same bat place next week. And don't forget to join us on Spaces. Bye-bye.